Want to elevate your marketing game? Discover Hitasaur Channel, where explosive growth meets innovative advertising. Subscribe now and make your brand unforgettable.
The ocean churned. Waves, like liquid mountains, crashed against the hull of the weathered Japanese fishing vessel. Rain lashed down, driven by a wind that howled like a banshee. The boat, a tiny cork upon a raging sea, pitched and rolled violently. Inside, the seasoned crew went about their work with an air of grim determination. These were men who had faced the ocean's fury many times before. But tonight something felt different. An unsettling tension crackled in the air, thick and heavy like the salt spray that clung to their faces. The salty air was thick with more than just sea spray. It carried the sharp tang of ozone, the electricity of the storm clinging to everything it touched. The men moved with a practiced ease, their movements honed by years at sea, yet their eyes betrayed a deep-seated unease. Tonight, the ocean held something more than just the familiar dangers of wind and wave. Tonight, the ocean whispered. Captain Tanaka, a man hardened by decades spent battling the elements, stood on the bridge. His face, weathered and creased like an old leather map, was drawn and pale in the dim light. He gripped the railing, his knuckles white, his gaze fixed on the swirling maelstrom beyond the windows. The sonar operator, a young man with nervous eyes, called out from behind his screen. His voice, high with tension, was barely audible above the storm. "Captain, I'm getting a reading. Something big, very big." Captain Tanaka's weathered face remained impassive, but his eyes betrayed a flicker of primal fear. He had encountered storms before, typhoons that could swallow a man whole, but this felt different. This was not the wrath of nature, but the presence of something ancient, something colossal stirring in the depths. How big? The captain's voice was a low growl, barely a whisper. The sonar operator swallowed hard, his eyes glued to the glowing screen. "Bigger than anything I've ever seen, Captain. Bigger than the boat." An electric tension gripped the crew. They gathered around the sonar screen, their faces illuminated by its eerie green glow. The grainy image showed a shape, vast and undefined, rising from the depths. It moved with a slow, deliberate purpose that spoke of immense power. Orders were barked, sharp and urgent. The winch whirred, straining against an unseen weight. The boat, caught between the storm and the pull of the unknown, groaned in protest. Fear, palpable and thick, choked the air. The men worked with the frantic energy of those facing the unknown. Their movements were a blur as they fought to control the winch, the cables singing a high-pitched song of tension. Each creak of the ship, each groan of the metal served to heighten the sense of impending doom. They were reeling in something from the abyss, something that did not want to be found. Section 4. Leviathan's Rise. Then it broke the surface. A colossal form, sleek and black, rose from the depths. Its eyes, larger than a man, glowed with an eerie internal light. A collective gasp escaped the crew. This was no ordinary creature of the deep. This was something monstrous, something from nightmare. The creature thrashed, its body slick with seawater, catching the faint moonlight. Tentacles thick as tree trunks lashed out, striking the deck with bone-jarring force. The crew, their faces pale with terror, scrambled back. They were like ants in the presence of a god, insignificant and utterly powerless. The stench hit them then, a wave of putrefaction, of rotting flesh and ancient brine. It was the smell of the deep ocean, a place where the sun never reached, a place of perpetual darkness and unimaginable creatures. Section 5. A ghost in the machine. For a moment, the creature held them in its gaze. Its eye, a black abyss reflecting the storm above, seemed to pierce their very souls. Then, with a flick of its massive form, it vanished back into the depths, leaving only churning water and a lingering sense of dread. Silence descended upon the vessel, broken only by the howling wind and the pounding rain. The crew stood frozen, their faces etched with terror and awe. They had looked into the abyss, and the abyss had looked back. Captain Tanaka, his face ashen, slowly straightened his cap. His voice, when he spoke, was hushed, almost reverent. "Whatever that was," he muttered, "it's gone now." But as the storm subsided and the first rays of dawn pierced the darkness, a chilling question lingered in the air. Was it truly gone, or merely waiting, watching from the fathomless depths?